We pull that. Yeah. So we're gonna tap in right now. Special guest. I got special guest Moses Bones. We're gonna talk about, some things. We had a couple good conversations. Let's pull them up real quick first. Let's go ahead and not there.
Shalom, shalom.
There we go. There we go. Peace, peace. Alito. Shalom.
Alito. Shalom, brother. How you doing?
Shalom, right? That's how it go, right? I'm gonna make sure I said it right. Shalom.
Yeah, shalom, or somebody say shalom.
Yeah. Salim.
Salim, salam. You know, so
All
there's so
that.
many
All that.
variations. You know,
Islam, all that, right? All that peace,
yeah,
all that peace. Peace be with you. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I get all the derivatives. I understand all the different translations of peace be with you. Peace is peace. So I don't get caught up in religious. You know what I mean? What's
yeah.
poppin' with you, man? How you been?
Man, doing all right, doing all right. Definitely moving forward. Um, the creator is making, I'm just saying he's making ways. Let's put it like that. He's making ways for the people who are taking this walk seriously to not only just survive, but also thrive. So it's a blessing.
Mm-hmm. Before we go into a conversation that I can go into, if you mean you can go a couple places, I know we can. So plug everybody in on what you do and what you got popping and the movement that you pushing and products you got going on. Give a little plug. Go ahead, plug yourself in.
All right, yeah. So I'm Moses Bones. My wife and I, we have a beautiful business called Healed Vibrations. You can check out healedvibrations.com. What we're into the mystic side of our hidden history, be it Aboriginal and Hebraic understanding.
Hmm.
So we deal with a lot of the elements of the universe. We deal with a lot of science of the spirit, what people might call metaphysics. But I think we bring a dose of reality and morality to it that I think a lot of people can vibe with. So,
Yeah, definitely. I think your angle is definitely, what I mean, different from the average person that I've come across with the information you kick. You know what I mean? And how you
right.
break it down and how you correlate things. So um, the other day you had posted something on Facebook when you did a bill. You was doing a bill. You did a bill that day. That's what it was. And you caught my attention because I listened to the bill. You know what I'm saying? And I was like,
Right.
woo, what you just said right there, boy, what you just said. So Cusco, I want to get to Cusco, right?
Yes.
Was that what the picture you showed? It's no way you can show me the picture right now, right? You don't got a computer on you.
You talking about when I showed the maps, right?
Yeah, when you showed that map, man. Hold on. Is there a way I can
Yeah,
pull it up?
one
I'll
of
pull it
them
up.
was Cusco. One of them was Cusco.
Hey, man. Can you pull up Cusco, Peru? Right, Cusco, Peru, right?
Yeah, Cusco, Peru.
Cusco, Peru. Let's pull it up and try to tap on a map, just so we can try to. Because I obviously I can't get your build on here right now to show how you showed it. But still, we talking about it. If I can pull it up real quick, we're gonna try to pull up some things while we have our conversation. Still, so can you go into your thoughts about Cusco, Peru? That's why. Let's start there since before while we get this right. What you think about
Well,
that? How can
well,
you give me a little bit on that, Bill?
yeah. Peru itself, before we even talk about Cusco, we just got to talk about Peru itself is such an anomaly when it comes to the world timeline of history that it still baffles people today. And agenda organizations like the Smithsonian, etc., they still don't want to fully deal and touch on the topic of alien skeletons in Peru, of pyramids predating anything coming out of other lands as far as the pyramidal structure is concerned. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, but you also have the geographic, because to put so much emphasis in a land, we must see the benefits of living on that land.
Mm-hmm.
The land itself, Peru, it has Hebrew connotations. Now, if I were to say the land of Peru in Hebrew, that is Aretz Peru, which literally means the fruitful land.
Hmm.
So,
Say that again.
given
Say that again. Say that again. Say that again.
Aretz Peru means the fruitful land.
Aretz Peru. Okay. Is that
Yup.
how you spell the first part? How you spell that first part?
Well,
Aretz.
some might say E, but it'll be an AR and then a Tzadi, which is a letter that combines the T and the Z. Aretz, right? That
Aretz.
Itza, that Retza.
You know,
Some might say, some of the brothers might say Arataza, Arataza Paru, right?
wow, okay. Okay.
So,
You put me on something I ain't heard, so I can't. No, no, what I have heard though, and you can tell me if this correlation might not be close to what we're talking about right now, but Ertz, Ertz, Erzet.
uh,
It's like Earth.
no,
It's another way of saying Earth.
yeah,
Earth.
pretty much Earth, like you know what I'm saying. So basically, in this root transliteration, it would be Eretz, Eretz, right?
Eretz. Yeah, that's it. See,
Yeah.
I don't got no book for them. I'm just talking.
And Eretz eventually became Earth, which is Greek. Greek, we got to understand Greek. People, a lot of people try to say that the Hebrew ain't nothing but Phoenician, but truthfully, Greek is the modern Phoenician, hands down. It's the
Word.
modern Phoenician.
Modern Phoenician. When you say ancient, though, being that Phoenician came before the Greek.
Exactly. Exactly. Because we know that the Greek Empire, as we know it, was actually an amalgamation of multiple bloodlines, right?
Hmm.
And it was a trading empire, trading. Even as far as information is concerned, that's why all the Greek scholars say we got everything from the Egyptians.
Right, they ain't getting nothing from themselves. They definitely said that. You segue on saying they got it from the Egyptians, kind of into back to Cusco, Peru, because
Yeah,
the Egyptians that they were talking about, and Herodotus. See, when you talk about the Egyptians, we're gonna go back to the Greek Egyptian real quick before we get back to Cusco, Peru. And I always bring up Herodotus making a statement specifically dealing with Meropes. Meropes. You know what I'm saying? Now, these people that he described as Meropes, and he said that these people were from the West. That's what he stated from from my understanding, what I've read. You know what I'm saying? And if I could pull that up, I'm gonna pull that up too. But still, with that, can you pull that up, yo? Can you pull that up? The other thing, first, Cusco. Because we're
Cusco.
going back to Cusco now. So with that being said, you know what I'm saying? What's your segue on that right there? Back to us coming back to this America whole world thing, because I know we can go deep on a lot of things just on a
right.
conversation, but still, just on the America being the old world. You know what I'm saying? You see what we see? You see it? The screen
Yep.
we got up. All right. So I don't got the map though. Is there any other images?
Right, that's what I'm saying. What
Can you
exactly?
go to maps real quick? Go to map.
Yeah. If you look ancient map of Cusco, let's
Yeah,
say
do that. Type that in. Ancient maps of Cusco. That's what
ancient
we're
or
doing.
old, like you know, say those
Keywords.
keywords trigger the
Keyword.
beast, and the
Yeah,
beast gonna
trigger.
give you what you need.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for more of.
You'll see a couple. You'll see some black and whites as well.
Yeah, but go ahead. Keep talking. We gonna pull it up for you, and then
Okay.
we gonna
Well,
pull that shit up. Basically, whatever
like
we
like
get,
you
we gonna pull
said,
it up.
these people come from the West, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know that Osiris was called the Westerner and his people. So now, when I had referenced when we was reading out the Book of the Dead, and it talks about the place where the gods go and they descend, right? This is where when they die, they go back to America. So why was this so important for them to go there? And this is where the gods are.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody had the legend. See, that's what a lot of people don't know. Some people might think the flood landed on the whole world. Some people think it was a smaller series of floods all over the world. Now, what I'm saying is that when everything was one landmass, there was a center location that was destroyed and sunk, and that was being coined as the world as they knew it. Just like how when we say the world's gonna end, no, it's gonna be the world as we know it. So the
Okay.
capital sunk. And so this is the ultimate tracing. There's one people that has survived throughout history that has claimed the throne, the true heirs of the most ancient lands connecting back to Atlantis.
Atlantis, see. I'm gonna let you rock. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you do your thing. I'm listening.
You
I'm
know,
listening.
and I think we was building on this last time, but I had a seminar. I had a seminar
No,
talking about
no.
the Atlantean origins of the Bible and showing how what the Bible is. We go a step further. We call it the Torah and Tanakh. What these Hebraic writings are trying to tell us is that these people, their whole culture and spirituality is centered around connecting back to the Atlantean status before it became corrupt.
Hmm.
Because if you're talking about Enoch, and Enoch is Thoth, and the legend was passed on after the deluge of Atlantis, who are the people who was given this knowledge? Because we know it ended up as being in some of the mystery schools.
We do. That is a fact. We know that. And he has many different names, as you just mentioned. You mentioned his
Yeah.
name in different back. Hermes. The Greeks call him Hermes. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So you know,
Trismegistus,
yeah, 3 times the great.
3 times
Like,
the great, but 3 times incarnate.
I like how you broke that down too. And with him being so profound, you know, I've talked to you about that dealing with the whole Tahuti thing. I told you how I felt. Tahuti,
Yeah,
Yahudi, Tahuti. You know what I'm saying?
right.
That's where I'm at with it. That's where
Yeah.
I'm at with it. Now some might say, "Oh, Matt, well, hey, show me differently." You know what I'm saying? Show me differently right now, but I'm
Yup.
correlating. I'm correlating. I'm correlating. This to our peoples that was following a certain, like you said, individual priesthood and was moving in a certain way, and that kind of can be tracked. But we're gonna pull up the Cusco thing real quick for you. You know what I'm saying? I think we found that map. I think I found that map that you were showing on your bill, actually. So it'll give
Okay,
you a better way to
perfect.
point to it and you let you go in.
Perfect. Because I can break it down and I can show people.
Boom.
Like,
Is
you know
that
what
it?
I'm saying?
Was that? Is that?
Yup. That's
That's it,
it. The
right?
one on the left is Tenochtitlan, Mexico, the capital of Moctezuma of the Aztecs, and the right is Cusco, Peru.
Okay.
So
Okay.
now we're more focused on right now the right picture, right? And you see it says on the top Cusco, but with a V because it's the old language. But then you see the 3 letters on the upper left and then the 3 letters on the upper right of the plaque. It says
Yeah, it's
Cusco,
Cusco.
the
Right.
2 letters. Yeah. So now, first and foremost, it says that Judea is a land of many mountains. Jerusalem is in a valley on a plateau surrounded by mountains. Look up the Altiplano when you get a chance, the Altiplano plateau in the Andean Mountains is where Cusco sits. And it's a plateau with more mountains on top of the plateau and a valley. And the only place that is as tall, maybe taller, is Tibet with the Tibetan spirituality. So this is the long lost link. When they say I'm gonna dig a hole in America and get to China, they're talking about Tibet. But that's a whole another thing when we talk about Shambhala and those legends.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, Godzilla, we're going to talk about another time. Godzilla, King Kong type thing. But
So
no, that hey, the movie had wormholes in it. It was talking about the inner Earth, talking about the sun. Like I gotta watch it again. I mean, ain't gonna lie, I was watching it last night. You know what I mean? For a minute, this not to do with this, but I was watching it my first time getting a chance to chill and watch it, and it was showing some things off top. It was saying some things off top. You know what I mean? That we could dig on the mound on that in a minute. But like I said, I want to stick to what we're doing right now on this right here. But that was a great plug. I want to plug that in. So if
So
anybody watch that movie, go ahead.
yeah, yes, sir. Knowledge is infinite. So here we go. So now the map, I'm just zooming it in on my screen. So first and foremost, what we see that's most impressive is this whole city is built around by a huge wall, right? You see that huge city wall. So this is the description of Jerusalem, Jerusalem. It was surrounded by a huge wall. Everyone knew this, right? So now the most impressive monument we see at the far end is a pyramid mound with a temple and shrine on top.
Okay.
And this was known as the temple. So now, mind you, this was written according to description, when in reality we look, and this is showing the 3-terraced mound pyramid called Sacsayhuaman in Cusco. And there's the lower city called Lower Jerusalem, and then the higher city called Upper Jerusalem, which is where the nobility lived, the royal blood of the house of David and the priesthood. And this was known as Zion. And this was the lower district of Zion, because Zion reaches from Sacsayhuaman. This is the lowest point of Zion, the castle that King David took from the Jebusites. And the path leads from there to Machu Picchu. That's Upper Zion.
Machu Picchu.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is not. So when people saying, okay. Matter of fact, all right. So Horace Butler, I think I might be wrong. Machu Picchu is considered like the Jerusalem thing from his narrative. Am I right? Machu Picchu is what he's saying. The Jerusalem pyramid is not what he's, because I think that's where things get, because what you're showing me here, based off the description, like you said, and everything you're showing with the map, and if you went off the biblical narrative, like you're breaking down, you know what I'm saying? For people that believe in the book, like you know what I mean. So, in either way, even if people don't believe in it from a religious standpoint, you're dealing with it from the description of what they're trying to lay out in history. You know what I'm saying? So, when from the standpoint of you showing the map in this way, with the whole America's the old world narrative is what we're talking about, right? Because this is what people are debating, and you're coming with information that I feel you've made some solid points that I think I want to let you shed light on, and that's why we're here. But didn't Horace Butler? Okay, so how far is this from Machu Picchu?
I believe it's one or two, so many numbers, but right now I think it's like 25 miles away. It's only 25 miles away, and it's a whole path. So this is the reason why when you read about the narratives of Francisco Pizarro that go along with the narratives in the Apocrypha, the books that they took out of the common day readings of the Hebraic records, it tells you that these places to get to the highest fortress temples, right? Because every single thing that we built was a fortress, citadel, temple. It was all 3 in 1. And so it talks about these treacherous paths that you have to go through in the mountains of Judah, that only one person, maybe 2 at some times, can walk side by side. It's so thin on the mountain. So many people fall off and die because the mountains are so sheer and steep. Yeah. These are the Andean valleys and ravines. And these are the paths, because whenever you go to Machu Picchu, you got to start from Sacsayhuaman. That's where all the tours and everything, they take you, and you walk north up. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that is considered the Andean Amazon. That's the Amazon, even in the Andeans. And it's the most exotic and diverse part of the Amazon rainforest.
You're laying it heavy right now. I mean, is that you? Is that going on? Oh, it was about to die.
No, it's notifications.
Okay. Oh, so wow.
And remember this.
You got me
In
thinking.
the early history, it tells you the Most High says, I will have you sacrifice and gather at every place I put my name. Jerusalem, that city in Cusco, he made his all-time capital. That's where all the people are going to go. But the priesthood and the kingship, they have places that are in other locations, because it tells you before Jerusalem, they sacrificed at all the sacred high places and in the groves. That's mountainous forest regions.
So what would you say to the people that will come to you and automatically say this, devil's advocate?
They say,
but
what?
Jerusalem's over there. What would you say to the people that would say, no, but Jerusalem's in the East, America? What would you say to that? Like, because you know that's what's going to come to you on these kind of conversations, right? You know that people are going against this whole, and you're showing this right here. And I can't.
Brother.
I mean, I'm not. I'm shit. I'm with it. Like, let's go. Like, come there, refute this. Come refute this. But
yeah,
what do you say to those that are going to come to you with that? Just
Well, coming from, I wouldn't say I was fully immersed as some of these brothers, but coming from the malicious mainstream Israelite camps, and you know what I'm saying, pushing up from that is a culture of debate, of strife, of argument, of nasty communication, if you feel what I'm saying. To have a discussion like you and I, first of all, this is why the saying, the proverb is, you have two ears and one mouth for a reason, because you should listen twice as much as you speak. So I have to make sure that individual is in the right mindset to sit down respectfully, mannerfully, hear a presentation, and we'll go from there. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're going to try to run around this bush, that bush, these bushes, because you got so many of these facts in your head, you can't even believe it. So you ain't even slowing down your mind long enough to really study and look at the information being presented, which is a lot of people's problem. It was mine at the time. It was all of ours. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all can admit that. And you look at something, you've been told something has been drilled in your head, and the majority are saying the same thing. You know what? I'm going to go with what everybody's saying. You know what I mean? Like the majority rules type of thing. But we're not in that time no more. We're not in that era where you got to go with the majority, because we all see what's going on with the majority rule type of thing. And it's not benefiting a lot of us. It's not gotten us to where we want to get to. You know what I mean? So, were you correcting this kind of information and showing the geographic things? Because before anybody can even bring heat to you, I'm gonna put it on the record. It's many of people saying that America's the whole world. Just such as,
I'm definitely not the first. I was mad. That I'm on the late end, that we the chosen people, and then I got twice as mad when I found out I'm at the late end that we're Aboriginal people as well. You feel me? We on the late end, but the last shall be first. Why? Because we're gonna recover the majority of the lost history faster, because we are in a position of action now, to where we're gonna start putting the ancient writings into practice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when your manifestation creates your reality.
Since you said Aboriginal, like you said, you was mad the first time, you were like, I'm mad the second time. Oh shit! So on the Aboriginal side, what's your connection? We talked about the tribal side. What's your?
Off gate, both sides of my history, and never been once denounced. My grandmother, my aunties, my grandfather, my dad, all my uncles, my cousin, everybody. They all say it proudly when they say Cherokee, when they say Blackfoot, when they say Powhatan, Nansemond, Pakwamadi. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So These are the tribes that I know is pumping through my blood. And it's been verified, not by the fake DNA test that everybody is fussing about, but the real legit DNA test where you can go and get a private lab to do it. And you ain't got to worry about those that are doing something fishy with your information.
Oh, you got that? You got that plug? You got
Man,
that?
look.
Well, how that works? 'Cause, you know, that DNA thing fishy, so you're gonna bring it up. You know how people feel about that DNA. You know, they just put somebody put a swab of an iguana
Yeah.
and sent it in, and they said that, and they said the iguana had 34% Nigerian. Bitch, I was like, God damn, the iguana from Nigeria, bitch.
Hey,
God
that's
damn, we've been moving.
hey,
How did iguana get
Travel.
around? Like, how did
That's
iguana get from
crazy.
here? Either way, 23andMe, by the way, that was the test that they showed the iguana getting tested. Anyways, so how do you feel about this DNA situation, real quick though? Like,
so
so how's that work?
so if anybody comes to me with a pie chart, I'm walking off or I'm leaving you all on scene, because a lot of times I try to talk to people and I say haplogroup, and this is no shade, but then they say, oh, blood type this, blood type that. Blood type and haplotype are totally different. So when we talk about the blood, it's really the DNA. It's a real DNA test, and it's called haplogroups. Now, the lie is always going to be in the narrative to a certain degree. And the information can only show you where people are now today and maybe sometimes in the past.
Hmm.
But we, first and foremost, just like anything else that is of such importance, you have to study its haplogroup A all the way down to Z. But the truth is in the alphanumeric breakdown.
Mhm.
Now, this is haplogroup Y DNA, Y chromosome. And you also have mitochondrial DNA, which is the woman's DNA, and she is the X chromosome.
X marks the spot. Go ahead.
And
Listen.
so, like I said, the Hebrews, contrary to popular opinion, they were not maternal, they were not paternal, they were both.
Both.
And this is exactly what you see in the Aboriginal culture. You see paternal and maternal. Maybe in this tribe, in this section, a couple of clans, they like to keep it maternal. A little bit over, they like to keep it paternal. And even then, that paternal clan will switch to maternal after so many generations.
Hmm. Well,
So
I
you
know.
have both.
Go ahead. I know that the tribes, specifically in the Southeast and Mississippian culture, you have your patriarchal situation that's doing its role, but obviously you have the matriarchal that is that role as well, like you said. So everybody plays a role either way from a tribal standpoint. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
I think that that's why I think it gets confusing, and they made it almost like they debate each other now because they started to debate each other. I mean, obviously, you don't see women signing treaties in none of the treaties. You don't see a woman's name on the treaty. So some
Right.
cases, how did that happen? And we know these tribes were matriarchal in some cases. Why wasn't the woman's name on that treaty? So we know also on a foreign standpoint when the patriarchal people that came in, because we're in a patriot, right? We're patriots now. America is a patriot, which
Mhm.
means patriarch. Patriarch, same shit. That's what it is. So in that understanding of that, these people came up with a whole nother um, movement of thinking religiously as far as who's supposed to be in charge, so to speak. You know
They
what I mean?
corrupted the patriarchy to make it seem like it's good to go against the feminine, the sacred feminine.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what
why
I'm
they had the
saying?
witch hunts and all that. You know,
Where
like
the patriarchy exists to lift up the woman higher, and then the matriarchy exists, and then it lifts up the patriarchy even higher, and it just climbs.
I
That's
like
how
that balance.
our cultures work. That's how our cultures work.
I like that balance actually. That's good. I think that's
Yeah,
especially nowadays. I think we need to be balanced. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be one or the other. You need both. You know what I mean? Especially for a foundational family, as they call it today, because you got people pushing all sorts of other stuff. But
right,
foundational families, man, woman, creating child type of families. I think that balance is needed to keep that structure alive. I think that's necessary. So
right.
going back real quick on the DNA. Matter of fact, why I even asked you that question about DNA, and I want to keep it moving. The but when you found out about your tribal roots, you got that from your family, or did you get it from the DNA? That's what I wanted to ask you. That's two questions in one.
I got it from my family first.
Okay.
Ever since I can remember. I'm talking about before. If there's anything else, which I know there is, of any other mixture that's in me, the first thing that both sides of my family told me was the Indian.
Okay. Okay. See, I understand that. I get that part. Now, when it comes to the DNA part, when did you decide to do that?
So
That's
the
like that's my
DNA came, the DNA really came when I met an individual that gave me his DNA records and broke it down to me and told me why he was a Jew dealing with his African roots. And
mm-hmm.
this haplogroup was called E1B1A. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, wow, that's very interesting. That seems like it makes a lot of sense. You know what I'm saying? He's so-called connecting with the lembas and whatnot. Uh, and so, you know what I'm saying? I'm digging into this. I'm digging into this. Uh, Eventually, I put it on the back burner.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I'm saying? I'm still interested into it, but I'm thinking that's all there is. Now, this is ignorance because I have never researched any other haplogroup or any other information, but I took this at face value that E1B1A is the Israelite lineage and the only lineage, and this is the dominant haplogroup in Africa right now. The majority of people living in Africa that are what you would call quote unquote Negro, they are E1B1A.
Hmm.
So eventually now I'm starting to learn more about the Aboriginal side of things. I'm starting to get a whiff of this. And per usual, it makes you get right back into that ancestry. I need to know mine. So I started digging in the records. My granddad, he already has done decades of research. I'll pull records on people. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's a very dangerous thing to show records because
That's your business. That's your family
you
business.
know what I'm saying? Yeah,
Keep it that
it's
simple.
don't
Let's keep
don't
that
twist
simple. You
and
know
think
what I
it's
mean?
dangerous to call
No.
yourself black. It's dangerous to call yourself Indian too. That didn't stop them from killing us.
I mean,
So
shit. You
you
gotta
know
tell
what
me
I'm
that part
saying?
either. I understand. People
I'm
willing
gonna
to
use it
hide
where I'm gonna use it where it count. And so
it.
hey, for facts. So what happened was I got lucky. I didn't even have to swab my personal DNA sample because there was so much record. I'm talking about typing names, right? And everything pop up. And then I find my granddad records. My mama be sending the records and with the links. Uh, and there's so much stuff popping up. And then I'm meeting all these new relatives and I'm calling them. And we chopping it up. We talking about the same history of the same relative. And I noticed a lot of them. I had like 4 or 5 relatives that all got the test, all traced it down to this direct Y chromosome lineage, this haplogroup. And it just so happened to be, I'll say this for the record, A. It was haplogroup A1A M31. I said,
Hmm.
whoa, A, what is A? You know what I'm saying? And now this is where I really go into the DNA and I start studying everything. Come to find out, haplogroup A is the oldest DNA on the earth. And it
What about O?
exists.
What about O though? Everybody talk.
Haplogroup, not blood
Okay, see,
type.
I'm mixing them up. See, I'm mixing it up. See, I don't, that's why I asked the question. Threw that out there. Go ahead, keep going, brother.
Haplogroup A is the oldest DNA on the earth. In fact, it's called A And it literally means the Y chromosomal atom, the first man. This is the most original to the DNA of the first man that lives on Earth today. Type in haplogroup A. It's going to tell you the oldest DNA was found in a brother in South Carolina.
Hey, type
Albert
that in real
Perry,
quick.
2012, broke the
Haplogroup A.
whole theory of DNA as people understood it back then.
Okay, we're gonna try to pull that up real quick too. Shoot. That's interesting. I think that's very interesting. Haplogroup A, right?
Yeah. And it's
Okay.
funny because now the narrative will tell you versus the alphanumeric code, which is A1A, E1B1, J230, you know what I'm saying? But
Right.
the narrative will tell you now they don't say Ethiopia, they say Cameroon somewhere.
Cameroon.
And but yet this is the problem. If this is the most original, these are the authentic and first Negroes of Africa, why are they the remnants in that land? But the majority of haplogroup A carriers is in America. You even have them as far as Russia. Alexander Pushkin was a famous black Russian. He was haplogroup A.
Do the knowledge.
You touching. You on some shit now.
Same thing. They was amazed that this haplogroup was in Scotland and Ireland and other places. And this is on record as also being the haplogroup in the Nansemond Indians, the Bass family, and more.
Okay. See, that's why I wanted to. That's why we're having this conversation like we're doing, because I don't dig on the haplogroup. That's one thing I've never really gotten into. You know what I'm saying? Because I just never trusted that DNA shit. But how we conversating with you, and that's why I wanted you to bring it out, because I think you're the most extensive person I've had a conversation with on this type of thing, and that's why I don't even try to put no debate or anything into it, because I'm learning at this point when it comes to haplogroups and all the things you just said about blood types, and you know what I mean, because I'm dealing with it from more of an oral, and I had to go dig up surnames on that level to find out certain things about my family. You know what I'm saying? But like you
Right.
said,
Same thing.
the dig
Yep.
up on your side is deeper, because you break it down a whole, like you're coming with three different elements, Moses. Coming with three elements that you're dealing with at the same time. You're tackling three things at the same time. Aboriginal, Israel, Hebrew
Yep.
Israelites, connection to that, and the America being the whole world. We're
Yep.
doing all three at the same time. So that's why I like, hold on, wait a second, brother. Hold on, we're gonna have to have a conversation. So because of
Facts.
how your three connection goes together. I
Facts.
want to before I bring, because we're gonna pull, he's pulling it up right now. What you just talked about with the haplogroup. We're gonna go back to that real quick. Just
Okay. Yeah. Let's pull that up.
while we for that, he pulled up, right? Aborigine, aboriginal, aborigine,
Yep.
aboriginal in Hebrew. Is it in the Bible? Let me ask you that question. That word, aborigine, in the Torah. Where is that found? And how did that correlate? Those can you give me any thing on that?
Well, in what we call the contemporary, or I would even venture to say the common Torah alludes to this, and I'll break down why I say common Torah.
Mm-hmm.
It alludes to this when it talks about Shem in the Table of Nations. Genesis chapter 10 is usually known by the name the Table of Nations, and it gives all the nations of the earth today broken down in their most tribal nationalities.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get to Shem, it breaks down Japhet first, then Ham, and then it breaks down Shem. A lot of people don't realize that it says Shem, the father of all the children of Eber or Abar. So if you were to translate this, it would properly say Shem, the father of all the children who crossed over. So now when you read the
Crossover.
Talmud, the Midrash, when you read the other books, the Targum, that are very Hebraic. In fact, I would argue a lot of these works are more Hebraic than some of the books in the Bible. And they tell you for a fact that these were the first to cross over. And that's why that seminar I did was so beautiful, because I laid it all down. I'm talking about that was like a 10-hour seminar. You know what I'm saying? I think I might run it again here too. Might run it again live, because it's only going to get more information as I have more time to add more slides.
Right. You did a nice build that day. You showed some. You was like, you know what I mean. Obviously, you're on my podcast right now in this conversation. So we're moving. You know what I mean. We might have to plan it the next time a little bit where we get some, and we can put it up for you so you can go over the shit differently. I'm gonna get better as we go along with our conversations. Trust me. You know what I
Yes,
mean.
sir.
But
You already know.
are you ready? You pull it
Yep.
up.
Yeah,
Oh,
haplogroup.
yeah, pull it up. Put it on the screen. Just let me know when you pull it on the screen real quick. You know what I'm saying? People hear us, they can see what we doing at the same time. Cool. So obviously we going back to this the haplogroup. Is this it right here we talking about?
Let me zoom into it. Yep.
Okay. So this is what you were just talking about.
Yep.
Hmm. I'm looking at what you
They
looking at.
got the distribution though.
Huh? The distribution where it goes, right? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
automatically putting you
They
um
they
it automatically putting you though in Africa.
Yep.
Africa, Great Lakes, Central Africa, Horn of Africa, North
Asia
Africa.
and
Yep.
even Europe.
Yeah,
North
they're hitting in all these other places.
Right.
They're hitting in all these other places, man. But I have links. You know what? We're gonna have to do an official presentation, because I have links and I printed this stuff out. I got it on paper, evidence. This stuff is deep. This whole project's everybody's like, what really saved the DNA information was the independence gained by a lot of private labs. So many people are able to control their own. They have projects and people upload their findings and they all connect and click. And wow, you're gonna be amazed on who is haplogroup A and how many of our people here. I got lists of hundreds of names. And curiously enough, haplogroup A is the main haplogroup of the Ethiopian Jews.
Hmm. The Beta Israels, the
Beta
houses.
Israel, the
Okay.
Falashas,
The
the
fellas.
true
Okay.
Falashas, look it
The
up, how
G's.
high
The
in
G's.
percent.
Hey, the one
It's
that
almost,
the one that did with G's and the G's like GEZ language and all that, right? Aramaic speaking same
yeah,
people, right?
they speak a little bit of Amharic, right?
Yeah, Amharic. Yeah, that's what I.
Yeah, but
Hmm.
they claim to be Jews 100%.
Mm-hmm. They
Come
do.
to find out, about half of
100%.
them is haplogroup A.
Hmm. Going back to the point of the fact that you were telling the story about how Shem and how Eber or Abar, you know what I'm saying? Also Ivory, IVRI,
Mhm.
also IBRI, Ivory, you know what I'm saying?
Yup.
All correlate to this person we call now today Hebrew. Hebrew, right? Hebrew,
Yup.
Eber, right? Am I wrong? I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. I'm just making sure because
No, this is true. And
Okay.
this is why you see now it's lining up. The remnant of Israel that is scattered throughout the four quarters of the earth
Four
will
quarters.
be a remnant in the land of the Gentiles. If the majority of us are here, now that we understand that niggas, we all
Niggas.
we got, we are not Africans. Now it's time to understand that if there is a percentage of us that has been scattered throughout the earth, you will see a remnant of them. Now, my specific, they label me in about 3 tribes, but out of the whole tribe, whether it's thousands and thousands, only 2%, 3%, 5%. So you mean to tell me the people you tell me that is my tribe, they don't share the same DNA as me in the small little bit? Where is the majority of my people to be found? And let me hear these legends. And this is where the Aboriginal side kick in, because I think it's very disrespectful to our ancestors. Though they put us in some tight predicaments, I think it's very disrespectful to our ancestors to say that they were all such filthy liars that 90 to 95% of us to this day will claim and can name an Indian tribe or nation that we have.
Okay. Shoot. I think what you're talking about right now is I like the perspective of this bill, right? Because you're making valid points. You know what I mean? I've already said though, I think like you said, the tribes' names were so okay. Let me ask this question to you. How did if this for instance, you got tribes here that speak certain languages that don't have a Hebrew root to it. See what I'm saying? They might go
Mhm.
I'll have a Mayan root to it. But even when you go look at what the Mayan language was, where's the Aramaic, Amharic, Hebrew connection for that? How did this language? All right, so did these people get this language once they crossed over? Talking about the children of Shem dealing with Eber, meaning being that the word Eber or Bar means to cross over, right? You follow where I'm going based off our conversation
Yeah.
we had, right? All right. So
So,
how did this language part get in? Off your opinion and your information you have.
okay, I'm okay. Bet. Look,
I
you
mean, I'm
familiar?
asking the question for a reason. Just
Yeah,
I think
I'm
that's
glad you did. That's a good point
thing.
because this definitely plugs in. You familiar with the Mormons, the Book of Mormon?
Yes.
Um, Now you have additional books and material that the Mormon secret societies
Hmm.
have known for a long time. There's something called the Pearl of Great Price.
Say that
And
again.
inside the Pearl of Great Price,
Okay.
you have an autobiography of Abraham written in Egyptian on papyrus.
Word.
So Abraham probably knew Egyptian better than he ever knew Hebrew. By the time Moses was given the commandments, Moses had to learn Hebrew all over again. In fact, in some of the apocryphal books that they mislabel as pseudepigraphica, it tells you that Abraham had to be taught this language from the heavenly beings because it had already been erased from almost everybody's mouth except Enoch, Thoth, Hermes, Trismegistus. He was the
So,
only one who still had it. So
so
this has always been treated as a sacred artifact and a weapon. This is the missing link. This is why I bring up the Anikutani, the ancient priesthood of the Cherokee, or more properly, Salagi, right? The Salagi is the Cherokee that I know from my family's legends. You know what I'm saying? And
exactly.
this,
You know what I'm
and this
saying?
is documented. So this priesthood, I read out of a book. I have a book called The Cherokee People,
Mm-hmm.
and it tells you word for word that the Cherokee priests had the Ark of the Covenant, that they were originally of 12 tribes.
But see, this is the thing. I gotta stop right there. Cherokee part, right? We know that's the watered down term. That is not the name of the real people.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know the Cherokee thing is, it's once like the crazy part about it. I was I had a conversation with some people maybe a month or so ago, and the person read a document to us dealing with the Cherokee, and it was a debate on the Cherokee because we know that there's other names, you know what I mean, and that this is like a trade name that they have. Cherokee,
Yeah,
like you
I
said,
just stated it. I just
it's,
stated it on record.
right? It's umbrella, you know what I mean. It covers tribes, not just one thing.
It's a nation.
Right. So go ahead. I'm listening to you.
Yeah,
Sephardic Jews, by the way, mixed into this said nation when they came over here too. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. They connected to the Jamaicans. This is the real reason why the Dominicans don't like the Haitians, because half of them Dominicans are Ashkenazi Jews. Guatemala kicked them out a few years ago. They tried to do it there. Oh yeah, they're in everybody's business.
Mm. Yeah, everybody business. I like how you put that. Everybody business.
In everybody's business. You know what I'm saying?
Don't get us in trouble. No, I ain't even worried about it. Either way, though, you know.
Hey, but it's the Salagis, right? Because I know there's, what is it, the Aniwinia?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, Personally, and this is why I have no problem professing this. I don't know everything. I have no familiarity with that name as
Hmm.
far as the history behind the clans or the people of this nation that associated with this name.
Right.
I just know about the Salagis. And so what you have is you have the lowland, what they call Cherokees. You have the mountain regions, the mountain Cherokees. Then you have the Western Cherokee. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
all of these so-called, that's thousands. Literally, the Cherokee Nation is thousands of tribes when you get
Hmm.
down to all the different clans.
Oh, clan. Okay, clans and families
Yeah.
and
Because you have hundreds of
territories.
tribes and thousands of clans or family names. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
yeah, and the Salagis were the ones in the high point of the mountains. These were the high Appalachian Cherokees. And I say Cherokee to talk about the whole of this nation. And this is where the Anikutani lived. The Anikutani were in the mountains. The Smoky, you ever been to the Smoky Mountains?
No, you been there?
Yes, you go through the Smoky Mountains, you're gonna feel the spirit. You're gonna feel the ancestors. It's deep history there.
Well, it's called Smoky for a reason. Man.
Yeah, yeah.
Volcano.
Go down there towards Tennessee.
Let me
Like I
see.
would say, like
When I
it's
went out of
about
town.
45 minutes north of Murphy, North Carolina. You have Adventure Rock, and they have a huge old bridge, and it's where the huge canyon is. And that's where a lot of the ancestral grounds was, and a lot of the stories still exist. And you can go there and step foot there, and you're gonna feel the love, you're gonna feel the energy.
You know,
So
I can understand the travel thing, but I'm just trying to still get like how you just said the priest with the Cherokee and everything, and I'm trying to understand like, all right, because we're getting this information now, all of us, right? Dealing with how you're breaking it down again, and you still are using you have in your bills you use the Hebrew Israelite still narrative to show the correlation to the tribal. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And
and it's
because of
crazy
that,
because
that's why I'm like, how do you bring that part together with like the Cherokee Hebrew? Because I know the Sephardic Jews came in at a certain time, but it was after 1492. You know what I'm saying? So this is like much later.
yeah,
That would
yeah,
still fit
this
their
is
narrative. See, that would still fit their narrative of saying that that the Africans came over here. You know what I mean, on slave ships type of thing. Sephardic Jews brought these people over. You know what I mean? Now we know that the Sephardic Jews that came here was swarthy. You know what I mean? Look like me and you. From Tawny,
I
we would be
believe
like a
some
Tawny.
of them came here for good intention. A lot of them came here for bad,
Bad
just like
intention.
they probably would in 2021 if they had a chance.
Well, they
Money
all
hungry,
come in there,
greedy.
so to speak. So, immigration is
So
a big booming business now. So, yeah. I get what you're saying, though. So, what's your connection piece? Because I only got 5 6 minutes before I go back to some music before we get out of here. And
okay, y'all.
so when people come back, I'm gonna bring you. I'm gonna bring you back. I like our builds. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So
Well,
on the America old world narrative, and just off the last things you said, give me a little bit what you got to say about that.
okay, so I want to state this for the record.
Yeah.
I have more knowledge, rooted knowledge, I would say, in Aboriginal American history, cultures, and spirituality than anything else. I grew up off of it. I grew up living on the mountains and sweeping up inches of pollen from the bees and chasing sparkling lizards. And you know what I'm saying? I grew up on those mountains.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always had a connection of traveling in a lot of places at a young age. I've been to the sweat lodges, the Inipis. I've done the ceremonies. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I made the rocks glow red hot. So a lot of this, I know that it comes from the ancient traditions before any tainting of any mixture of outsiders. And what it takes is for someone to read these scriptures and literally put it against what they see in the Americas as if it was a movie in their head. Because this was the shock to even the Indians themselves. My lives be cracking. The Incas say, we've known God in exactly the way people understand him now, according to the Hebraic Old Testament, except we didn't know your Bible and the New Testament. That was their only contradiction.
Matter of fact, that's been said before. You're right. I mean, I've heard that. You know, what I mean, many a times that but it was oral over here. It wasn't written down. But see, then that goes back to see the people.
But
You
see,
say
it
the Inca.
was.
What about the Shalabalum? Right. What about the Shalabalum? You know what I mean? Am I saying that right? Shalabalum. The Shalabalum.
Well,
So
and we still have to remember the history. This is why Horace Butler, his work is so raw when he said, when the rocks cry out, because our ancestors prophesied that they're gonna take all the books. So even though you might have some accurate publications to this day, you ain't never got a chance of seeing anything original yourself that they talk about they wrote on. Because after the destruction of the first temple, it became secret only with the priests. And then at the destruction of the second temple, this is where tarot cards was getting activated as secret teachings, because the writings, if you got caught, if they got any wind of you holding a scroll, it was going to kill you for that. You know what I'm saying?
that's that crusade shit. You know what I'm saying?
So, and
Hmm.
so now here it's revealed, Sequoia in 1832 revealed the Cherokee language after adding the foreign vowels. But the whole time they'll tell you this was the ancient Cherokee language of the priests, that only the priests knew and the people that they felt were worthy. So we've had literature, we've had an alphabet, we've had these things. That's the great cover up. That's what you're not going to find out of the dust, because the religious warriors called the Jesuits came here with the conquistadors. The first thing they did, got to know all these tribes, found out which ones connected to what and all these nations. Then they robbed them, pillaged them, took all their documents by force, burned a lot, and shipped the only copies to Spain and Italy. So this is the information. It's not that we never had nothing. Maybe common people didn't really too much need to if they was living a simple enough life. But we always had literature. That's the biggest lie. I refuse to believe that we were so smart, had all of this, but we did no record keeping.
Yeah, man, and I don't believe that too. Especially if you're gonna say this is the ancient world, right? If this is the ancient world, the step pyramids over here, right? I mean, the step pyramids are over
Mm-hmm.
here, and it's something about Nimrod. Before I let you go, dealing with Nimrod and the ziggurat, you were speaking
Mm-hmm.
on something with that. Can you touch on that? And also, again, America's the whole world. Egypt. Can you tie that in real quick? Babylon.
Okay. So first and foremost, they have in Mexico around the pyramids, they have well springs and shrines that are literally in the shape, masonically built in the shape of the Ankh. We can't deny that. Second, we have Father Crespi's collection. Father Crespi was a priest, and he was able to get into some Ecuadorian secret tunnels and
Mm-hmm.
dug up ancient Sumerian artifacts of the bird-headed winged gods, the
Mm-hmm.
pyramids, in an ancient Semitic language. You have burial mounds all throughout the Americas with literal Egyptian hieroglyphs in the tombs and petroglyphs in Utah. They found scarabs with the holy Egyptian seal. Now, what always struck me as a child was how similar the pyramids look to the old reconstruction of Babylon. And they said many colors in turquoise and jade. And what people don't understand is that these gems exist in the highest quality in the Americas. China is second, even more than Africa. But the majority of these things can be found on the ground. This is why I said you got to act like your imagination is a movie and put what you see in the Americas against what you read in the ancient scrolls that are called the Hebraic records.
So what's the name of the Hebraic record, real quick? What's the name? We're talking about Torah, right? We're talking about the Torah, or what's this record that you're speaking? Kabbalah, the Kabbalah, what? Talmud,
It's
which one?
it's a lot of that. A lot of people, they're not going to be drawn to the Kabbalah period if they spirit just ain't drawn to it, because that information, it only call you if it calls you. But anybody's willing to read it, and I mean the whole record, not just the Bible, because I'll say Torah and people will literally only read Genesis to Deuteronomy. So it's the Tanakh itself, which is the Torah, the prophets, and the poetic literature, which is semi-prophetic, which is Psalms, Proverbs, and a couple others, the Apocrypha. But you have to read other translations. You have to read Targumim, which is Aramaic for translations of Hebraic records.
Aramaic. You said Aramaic.
Yeah. The most famous one is the Targum by Jonathan ben Uziel. This was in the Christian era. So nonetheless, it predates the Masoretic text that everybody is reading from now. You have the Midrash, you have the Talmud, you have these things. Now, obviously, there comes a time when you can see in history any books that purport to be Hebrew, but just check the date and the person, and you can clearly separate modern works from ancient or more authenticated medieval works as well, because our history did not stop in the Christian era. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No.
So
That's
yeah.
Man, you really touching on a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? You know you're gonna have some questions. Some people might, whoever might catch us live right now, and
Yeah.
hear it back. When they hear it back, they're gonna be like, "Whoa, this brother just."
Mm-hmm.
So tell people where they can find you, because they might ask you some questions now that you dropping stuff like this live. You know what I mean? So, obviously,
Yeah.
you got products and stuff that you got for sale. Like I said, I see you doing your thing. You know what I mean? So tell people where to tap into you one more time before we go into this music and get out of here for the night. And I'm gonna bring you back on. I'm gonna have some more, because I told you already, after what I seen and how you did it and the way you come about it. Like I said, it was, you give me a different perspective of looking at things, the way you go about breaking down it. And I appreciate the build you be giving out. And it's because it's
Thank
just,
you, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
yeah, man. 'Cause you
I'll
know
take
what, man? We gotta build. Even if even when I came at you the first time, you see, some people don't know this because we did this on Facebook. That's how we met, right? And I
yeah.
was I was I was debating you. I came straight at you. Then I was like, yo, hold on, wait a
Mhm.
second, yo, wait, hold on. And then you came back. You were like, well, and you know I wasn't being rude, but I was really stern
Right.
on certain things. Like,
And
well,
I
what
freely
about?
dialogue with that. I freely dialogue. It's all about reading energy. You know what I'm saying? We have to understand, a lot of us now, we are empaths. We feel, I can feel your energy, bro. You in the same state as me. So you already close enough for me to feel your energy stronger than somebody who's in California or somewhere else on the other side of the world. So I can feel when it's a right spirit, and I'll freely dialogue.
I appreciate that. That's a good look on my side. Same with you, brother. That's why we can agree to disagree, but still, Aboriginal American. I was just saying. I've been saying this for a little while now. that is the political, term I like to go by. You know what I mean? I don't like African American at all. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So all things connected to it. You know what I mean? Because like you said, dealing with Aboriginal and then American, we're dealing with our tribal roots here, and obviously the different things that came in and mixed in with us during different timelines, coming all the way up to
Yeah.
where we are now. You know what I mean? So we're a melting pot at this time, but the root of a lot of our ancestry is rooted here, especially in the time frame of you know what America's what we call now United States of America being established. You know what I'm saying? And the tribes that
Right.
were here on their territories and dealing with treaties and stuff at that present time. But you going ancient and we're coming off the line. That's why I'm gonna have to keep bringing you back because I'm gonna have different timelines. I'm gonna tap in and be like, so tell me what you think about this time from that perspective. You know what I mean? Because you are,
Right.
like you said, you have indigenous roots, Aboriginal, and you also and the crazy part is when I look up the word Aboriginal, it states a people from the time of immortal, like from the time of immortal, meaning
The
from the beginning.
earliest existence.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's all it means. When you really look at, you know what I mean, from the beginning. So
Yeah.
in the Bible standpoint, that would be Adam and Eve and how they spread out, right? From like from all those narratives, it would
Right.
fit in line with the original people and how they looked and how they were described if we went from that narrative. You know what I'm saying? Based off
Right.
the time memorial. And that story will fit your people. You know what I'm saying? Now,
Mhm.
were they in Africa or America is the debate, but I'm on the American side because, like you said, I deal with these mounds here. You know what I'm saying? These mounds and the things that you, like you said, that they call conspiracy theories. Some people like to call it that right there. That theory that it was just a theory, it wasn't real. Okay, well,
Right.
whatever. I'm going to go to the records and look at what I'm seeing, and I'm finding a lot of things that's saying differently from what the mainstream might want to go with when it comes to that. And I understand that it's going to happen that way, but conversations like this is going to open the door for bigger conversations with the Aboriginal community in America. You know what I mean? I ain't talking about the ones in Australia, just to get people that might listen to us from around the world, might be tapping in. We're talking about here in America. You know what I'm saying? And again, Moses Bones, I appreciate you tonight for giving me your time, brother. I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Halito and Shalawah, as they would say, right? Peace to
Wow.
you.
Always a pleasure, brother. Always a
Yeah,
pleasure.
yeah, man. Peace and love, man. I appreciate the bill, man. Um, we gonna, like I said, I'm gonna get back with you soon, man. Like I'm trying to once a month how to build on this American old world topic. You know what I mean? And I got a couple other people I'm trying to get scheduled to come in. We're gonna do like a panel discussion. You know what I mean?
I
Because
would
I don't
love
want
that.
it to be just one sided. I don't want you thinking that I'm just gonna like go with. I'm not no yes man kind of guy. Me and you
Right.
already talked a couple times. You know that we're gonna really engage. But I wanted to give you a chance to off that build that I saw, give me just a live interview about that narrative so that people can see you from that light and let you to speak for yourself freely on why you're coming from these angles that you're coming from. You know what I mean?
Right. Because
And
like I
now,
said, I got strong ties. My earliest roots in any historicity on myself or any people comes from the indigenous side, immediately surrounded by it. You know what I'm saying?
right, that's what
I
makes it
was
so
an
interesting.
arrowhead collector. So
Because
yeah,
I don't come across too many people that builds on the Hebrew Israelite stuff, but that knows their indigenous roots. Like I talk to you, that's what threw me for the loop. Because at first I'm like, this dude's just Hebrew Israelite talking that stuff, but then I'm like, hold up. Then when you had a conversation, I'm like, hold on, wait a second, you okay? You really tribally are connected, but this is so I get it. You know what I mean? So that's why I was like, I gotta have again. That's why I appreciate you giving me your time. And Moses Bone, keep doing your thing. I tap in. Um, I'm gonna share your stuff, you know what I mean, so people can dig on you and find out who you are and come see you and check you because you got products as well, you know what I mean, and you're doing some things, and I want to keep. I like either way in our community we gotta support each other. So again, brother, shalom,
hey, Shalom, brother. One
peace,
love.
bro, peace and love.
Peace.
You gonna get out of here in a minute. We're gonna go ahead and tap into some music and get out of here for the night. We're gonna play one or two songs. Get out of here. I appreciate y'all for tapping in each and every Sunday right here, 8 to 11. Special guests every week. Don't forget we do the Money Corner. You know what I'm saying? Master Ether from 9 to 9:30, 9:45, around about, sometime a little early based off what we got going on. And we're going to be bringing different special guests back and back sometimes because the conversation just needs to be built on. You know what I mean? Sebastian Boy, the approved guy, will be on here soon again to give us a presentation. We actually, hold on, whoa, stop. We actually have a autonomous conversation with him on Clubhouse scheduled for some of these things, and people that want to tap in and get to ask some questions will be able to do so Tuesday night at 9 o'clock. You know what I mean, at the autonomous party. So again, tap in with us. Check us on Facebook. Check us on Instagram through the campaign. That's our promotional page for this movement. You know what I mean? You got to have a band for your move. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we play this music through the campaign. Super Blaze, peace to him. We out of here. Baron Somni Brothers, BSB, through the campaign. Autonomous Party. We out. Peace and love.